It's been a really busy week. We had our open house last Sunday. Thank you for all of you who came. It was a grand affair. We were glad to have everyone there. Then we had our staff Christmas party at the house on Thursday night, and getting everything ready. And I didn't do all the cooking, but I had to do all the little things. Make sure the house is set up right and the candles are lit so that Cy could blow them out and all that kind of stuff. So it's just been a really, really busy week, and time got away from me. It just totally got away from me. And so I wasn't able to write a sermon this week. I blew it. I'm really sorry. I know that's my one and only job, basically. I don't have anything this week, so I'm very sorry. So let's sit in silence for a while. I did go get a Christmas letter from my Aunt Sophia, so I could share that with you if you'd like. I know it's not the same. It lacks a lot of the, well, actually, it's probably better than a lot of the biblical exegesis I do. But anyway, here's my Aunt Sophia's Christmas letter, and I hope that maybe it'll say something to you. Dear friends, dear family and friends, I write this year's Christmas letter from my bed in the old folks' home to which I moved earlier this year. After Theo died, it just got harder and harder to take care of myself, let alone the house and the yard. So the kids and I decided it was time for me to live someplace where someone could watch over me and cook and clean for me. I have to admit that I didn't think I would like it, and for the most part, I don't. But there are things I do like, and I realize that reality being what it is, this was the best choice for me. It was hard for my kids, but in the end, they know, as I do, that this is best for me now. I could never move in with them because I would always feel like I was intruding on their lives and making it harder for them. As it is, the facility I'm in is only 30 minutes from them, so they come to visit often, and the grandkids have already come to sing Christmas carols for me and my neighbors. So that was really special. So I'm adjusting to my new life. How are you all doing? This has been a hard year of transition. I moved into the Harvest Village Assisted Living Facility on February 1st. The whole month of January was spent going through the tons of things we have accumulated over the 70 years of marriage, first to Justice and then to Theo. It has been hard to outlive both of my husbands, but I'm coming to terms with it all. At 92, I now know that I'm an old lady. I can't deny it any longer. According to all relevant metrics, I'm old. So going through all of that stuff was really hard. I had some help from my kids and grandkids, but I had to make most of the hard decisions. What to keep and what to give away or throw away. It is hard when you get to be my age. So many memories. It took as long to tell the stories about each item we examined than it did anything else. And I could tell, especially the grandkids, that people were getting weary of it all. But for old ladies like me, there isn't much else but my memories. I'm just glad I have my memories still intact. When I remember all of the love that I've given and has been given, it warms the cockles of my heart. So here's my Christmas wish for you. May the cockles of your heart be as warm as the coals of your hearth. As I said, it's been a hard year, but through it all, I have experienced the grace and mercy of God in marvelous ways. People have been so good to me. It was hard to leave my neighbors, and they gave me a really grand send-off. So many came to wish me well, and it afforded me the opportunity to offload some of my accumulated stuff. They acted happy about it, even if they only acted. But it was good to see everyone and spend some time remembering the days gone by. That's the thing about memory. It helps us to keep things in perspective. If I couldn't remember the good times with friends and family, my move to assisted living would have been much more frightening. But since I have these memories, I can cherish them even as I look forward to new experiences with new friends. And I know that God has been faithful in my life, so I can anticipate His faithfulness even as I begin a new chapter in my life. I'm sure the Israelites had similar feelings as they faced the ongoing occupation of their homeland by the Romans back in the day. They could remember how faithful God had been to them over the centuries, and so the future wasn't so frightening to them. They knew that God had promised them a Messiah who would come to rescue them. They had some pretty fanciful ideas about what that Messiah would be like, but nevertheless, they anticipated God's faithfulness through it all. So even though they didn't know exactly how God would rescue them, they trusted that He would somehow. Their history revealed that God loved them and that God's love would be the operative principle in His future actions toward them. I think of the prophet Micah, who foretold that the Messiah would come from Bethlehem, which must have been confusing to Mary when she was told she would give birth to the Messiah, not in so many words, but she knew, and that she didn't live in Bethlehem. In fact, for Mary to travel to the hill country of Judea meant that she had to brave bandits and wild animals on a journey of at least 3 days from Galilee in northern Israel down to Judah, Ephraim in the hill country to the southeast, which ironically was not far from Bethlehem. Just a couple of months after that, she and Joseph would make the same journey again so that the birth of Jesus would happen in Bethlehem. This young teenage mother-to-be was hardier than I ever was. But given her confusion about the whole thing, just makes it all the more fascinating. And that scene where Mary visited Elizabeth, her cousin, always reminds me that the first person besides Mary to acknowledge the Messiah was an unborn baby John, who leapt for joy in Elizabeth's womb upon hearing the voice of the mother of the Lord. You can't tell me that the unborn are not human beings. And Elizabeth says, "Blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." This promise, fulfilled in Jesus, is the blessed assurance that God's love for humanity has no bounds. Love is what it is all about. The Apostle John reminds us, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that everyone who believes in Him may not perish, but have eternal life." That says it all. God so loved the world that He gave His only Son. It truly is all about love, the kind of love that empties the self for the sake of the beloved, that doesn't expect anything in return. It just gives. The kind of love that the world knows very little about, but which God demonstrates for us so that we can know what love is. In 1 John 4, verse 19, it says, "We love because He first loved us." The world's definition of love is an emotional thing akin more to infatuation than real love. The world thinks love means that you have to affirm everything that the beloved thinks and does, and that you have to give the beloved everything they want from you. That's not love, at least not biblical love. This misunderstanding of love has led to all kinds of problems in our world. But Christmas marks the coming of real love, the advent of God's agape. I'm so grateful that I acknowledged and received that love from God so many years ago when I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. I pray that you have likewise accepted Him and that you are experiencing the love of God in this season in deep and profound ways. If you haven't, I want to encourage you to do so. It would gladden this old, gray, 92-year-old woman so much to know that you did. There is so much fear in our world right now. Fear of disease, fear of people who are different, fear of politicians, and fear of nations. The fear of death is the greatest fear most people deal with. In 1 John 4:18 we read, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear." The opposite of real love is not hate, but fear. Fear cripples us from experiencing the fullness of life. If Mary had been fearful instead of just confused, she might not have agreed to carry the Son of God in her womb. But her let it be moment was all about the love of God, which even in her young life she knew to be true and trustworthy. And that's really all it takes to spread the love of God in our world, to know and trust that God is faithful and that his love never fails. I hope that this Christmas, you and yours will experience the power of this love in your life in new ways. I don't know what the coming year will bring for me, but whatever it brings, I know without a doubt that God will be faithful and that his love will endure. So whether or not this is my last Christmas letter, I am not afraid. In fact, I am more filled with the love of God now than at any time in my life, no matter what happens. May the love of God fill you with all grace in believing. Bless you, my friends. Love, Sophia. And she, as she often does, writes a little note to me at the bottom of her letter. She says, "Dear nephew, thank you so much for the letter and Christmas greetings I received the other day. I always enjoy hearing from you. I'm hoping that you can come see me and bring that lovely wife of yours too. Please tell Nathan hello and greet Jessica and Sam and those beautiful grandkids of yours too. I really am settling in nicely in my new home and have met some great people. And I'm so grateful to still have my memories, as I remember how hard it was for you and your family as your mother drifted off into amnesic hell. Merry Christmas, Glenn. Merry Christmas." All right. Well, thanks to my Aunt Sophia for that. And I want to invite you now to just spend a few moments and consider what God may be whispering to your heart this morning.